Hi there. I am the CRM Ninja, and on today's episode of the Oops Factor, I have Clifton Lenne. Welcome to the show, Clifton.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's great to have you on the show. Now, the background I have happens to be a random background that I picked, but the reason for it is I understand you're very much into sightseeing.
Sightseeing, yes, actually that's correct. Sightseeing, actually I like that very much because especially when I go to my home country, Suriname, I really go to the Amazon. It's part of the Amazon, so I really like that. I really like the nature and the water and everything that goes with it. So I really like that. And indeed, I'm someone who likes to travel a lot. So I've seen many countries in Europe actually. But then I plan to do some more after the COVID, the whole COVID, the COVID,
Right.
yeah, pandemic has passed. Then it would be nice to do that again.
That is true. I think a lot of people would. So, in your travels so far, what are the top 3 amazing places you've been and the sites that you've seen?
Actually, it would be this may sound silly, but actually one of the most amazing countries that I visited actually was, I don't know if I say it correctly, Poland. I know it as Poland, but I know,
yeah.
Is it Poland? Poland. It's actually one of the amazing countries that I visited, and also I was very much impressed with Hungary. Was also impressed with Hungary. That's also one of the countries that speaks to my imagination. And actually, I would like to visit Denmark, for example. That's one of the countries that I haven't visited yet.
It's on your list of
my
places
list,
to
of
go.
course. Yeah, indeed. So it's on my list of places to go, indeed.
How many different countries have you been to so far?
So if I count the number, I think it should be around 15 or so.
Okay.
15 countries, yes. Almost 15 countries.
Nice. Yeah. So a lot more to go.
Yeah, a lot more on my list.
Good. I know some people like visiting lots of different countries and obviously experiencing the different cultures and the different places, but getting the stamps and the passport to build out a massive portfolio of things.
Yeah, indeed. So there was a time that I needed to replace my passport because my passport was kind of getting full. So I needed another one. But then it's a funny thing because at that time I wasn't yet a Belgian citizen, so it was kind of difficult to get it done, because as I already said, I'm from Suriname, so I had to communicate with my home country to get that fixed. So it wasn't easy. Yeah.
Yes, the joys of needing passport replacements when not in one's home country.
Yeah, indeed.
Been done that just a little bit. So in terms of places that you would like to go visit, I know you said Denmark. Are there any specific places in the world, not just countries, but things, sites that you would love to see that's on your bucket list?
Actually, I haven't really thought about that one. I should think. That's a good question. Actually, I think that is something I really need to think about, but I haven't really thought about that yet. I will place that on my to-do list.
So if I said to you, here's a first-class ticket, you can go tomorrow morning anywhere in the world to see whatever you wanted, what immediately comes into your mind?
Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Yeah, I heard so many stories about Hawaii, so I need to see it for myself. I need to see it with my own eyes. What is all this fuss about? I really need to experience that. Yeah.
I haven't made it to Hawaii yet, but I'm told it's very nice. And obviously for people who enjoy the ocean and surfing and stuff, it's an absolute paradise for that sort of thing.
Yeah, heard the same.
Good. Well, I hope you manage to make it there soon, and I look forward to hearing what it was like when you've been there.
Certainly.
So going from traveling and sightseeing and obviously Hawaii to the Oops Factor, what do you have to share with us today?
Okay, so actually the oops factor. So what was my oops? My oops, I can say that my oops actually built across a couple of years because let me say it like this. Yeah, indeed. So when I started with the Power Platform, it was way back in 2014. Okay, for some it may not be that long, but I started with what we know nowadays as Power Platform. I started in 2014, and I started where everyone starts, building apps. That's where most of us start. So I started building apps. Yeah, indeed. So I started building apps, and from there on, I started building. Building automations with what they call then Microsoft Flow, now Power Automate. And it was quite satisfying. It was quite satisfying, but I really struggled with one thing. Somehow the organization didn't get the concept of Power Apps and Power Automate and what it could mean for their organization, not only from a technical standpoint, but also from a strategic standpoint. Indeed. Yeah.
So did you find, I'm assuming you were doing consultancy at the time, but did you find that they were sort of just focused on that specific app or that specific automation?
Yeah, so the focus was, in my opinion, they focused too much on the technicality and less on the impact that the solution could have. And actually, yeah, indeed. So actually, that is something that you could say that it also has to do a little bit with the culture, with the organizational culture. And through the years, I learned that you cannot deploy or you cannot adopt a Power Platform if you don't have the culture, if there is not a cultural fit. And that is actually the importance of community. And in my eyes, or in my opinion, the best way to build adoption around the Power Platform is really by building a community. And
that is something very true.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, so that is something, and it is really something that I missed in the beginning. But that is how we learn. That is how we learn.
So what happened in the beginning then? Go on, tell us about it.
So in the beginning, there was a lot of effort. Yeah, there was a lot of effort to develop the solutions, to implement the solutions, to roll out the solutions, and you can guess what happens. Nobody uses it. So nobody uses it. You know how that goes. Yeah, so nobody uses it. So actually the next step was, okay, what was the problem? And what seemed to be the problem? It seemed that the traditional IT players within the company, they said, oh no, this is a low code, no code, so this cannot be a sustainable solution. We will do it our way. And you can imagine what happens. Yeah, you can imagine what happens. So then they moved my solution on the side, and they went forward with their own native build solution on, for example, .NET or JavaScript or any other language. So
everything that you have built and you have put in place on the cloud platform, because it's software as a service, right?
Yes, indeed.
They said, nah, that's not sustainable. That's not going to be long term. And they basically canned it. They shoved it to the side, and they went ahead with proper full-time devs on whatever dev technology they were, and they basically just rebuilt it in their stuff.
Indeed. So actually, this is not unique. This is not unique. This happens in every organization still, and even nowadays, it still happens. So I needed to make a mind shift. I needed to use another approach. So I thought about, hey, why not start with quick wins? Start with quick wins. And what is the best way to establish quick wins? By building a community, by building a citizen development community. And that is actually where I discovered the power of the citizen development community, of the Power community itself. It's a bottom-up approach, I would call it. Bottom-up innovation, actually. That is really where I saw the benefit of a community. And since then, I've really, you could say I have specialized actually in everything around citizen development community.
Okay, so when you go into an organization now, what do you do first and how do you do it?
Normally, the first thing you do when you go to an organization, you perform like a quick scan. What is the current state? So what is the current state of the citizen development landscape, you would call it? Or actually not only the citizen development landscape, but you could say what is the adoption rate actually of the Power Platform? And then you would decide, or you could say, you could detect what the maturity level is. We have in my perception, you have 5 levels. I call them level 100, level 200, 300, 400, 500, and that is actually aligned to the capability maturity model. Actually, they call it CMMI, if I'm correct. Capability maturity model improved, CMMI. So actually, I would look at your current state. Where are you at as an organization? And of course, there are several topics in that model that you need to take into account. And depending on your current current level, I would decide the next steps. But normally, in general, the roadmap is as follows. Normally, you start with quick wins. That is the best way to start with this. You start with quick wins, and when you have established those quick wins, and senior management is starting to discover the benefits of these quick wins, then you can take it a step further. And that is really a mistake that many organizations make. They start from 0 and they want to go to 500 at once. And it is a very big mistake that they make. Really, I would advise, really advise organizations, especially those that are now discovering the power of the Power Platform or low code in general, really start with the quick wins. Once you started with the quick wins, then start with building out a community. Because
it's
the community,
important. It's important in my experience not to focus just on quick wins, because you go one quick win, then another quick win, then another quick win, and then larger wins and larger project and stuff. And obviously that just rolls you on app after app after app, and you're not necessarily building out that community or that otherwise focused of everything other than apps.
Yeah, indeed. So it's indeed important. Through the community, you can start actually what I call ideation. The ideation, PMI calls it ideation 2.0. So ideation 2.0, you can really start a bottom-up innovation, the ideation 2.0, and from there on, those big ideas can how do you say it? Those big ideas can become what they should. How would you say it? Yeah, they are realized. That's where those big ideas are realized. And from there on, you go further. Actually, I would say you have actually several steps. So you have like start with the quick wins, and then there are other several things that you could do.
Okay, go on.
Other several, so you have like the onboarding, for example. Onboard your citizen developers. Greet them with a welcome mail, for example. Show them the first steps. Where should they go to have the necessary guides? Then it's the Power Platform community. That's also something that you should do. And of course, then you also should create like a sandbox where citizen developers can create and ideate. I call that the Citizen Innovation Sandbox.
Nice.
And then of course, indeed. So, and then of course, you have what I like to call the Seller Service Toolkit. What is the Seller Service Toolkit? That is actually like a corner, a corner, or I could say a place on your intranet where citizen developers can go for training resources, presentations, documentations, also component libraries, for examples. And then you could also organize, as part of that initiative, you could organize community calls, for example. What are those community calls? That are you can see those community calls as what we know nowadays as actually the global community, the Power. I think that's every month there is a call like that. They call it the Power Apps community call. Well, it's actually the same format. So it's actually nothing more than a quarterly virtual gathering where community members highlight citizen-driven solutions which they have built, for example, in the past 3 months. And then as a nice to have, you could have like a special guest 2 times per year, for example. Another thing that you could do, for example, is also you could optimize, for example, the user productivity by creating tailored citizen developer training. So these are all steps that can be taken to build out your community and to really promote citizen development within your organization. Because I really believe that citizen development is the basis or the foundation to build sustainable solutions when the time is there.
That's right. And I hope that you are seeing in the organization you're going into, but you are seeing success with this. And obviously seeing organizations being able to be productive and understanding the platform at scale and the benefits that it brings them.
Indeed. Yes, for sure. We see that over and over again. So it's actually a proven methodology.
Wonderful. And what would you say is the right mindset, if you had to summarize in like a couple of sentences, but the right mindset to adoption of Power Platform?
The right mindset. That is actually there is not. I have to say there's not a clear answer on that. But I can
That's
say
a typical
this.
consulting response, right?
Yeah,
It depends.
yeah, indeed, because it differs from company to company. I would say the typical mindset. Let me say it like this: if you as an organization are really into digital transformation, I think the mindset is already there. But if you're not in that, how do you say it, in that thinking yet, then
Yeah.
there still has to be a lot needs to be done. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, indeed.
Brilliant. Clifton, I think that's absolutely marvelous. And thank you so much for coming on the show to share it with us.
Yeah. With pleasure.
It's been absolutely great to have you on. Viewers, we hope that you've enjoyed this episode and can see the importance of community and obviously needing around, as well as having that mindset around digital transformation. Feel free to check out the rest of the Oops Factor playlist, subscribe to this channel and take a look at the blog. And if you would like to come on, hit the link, which is somewhere in the description below, put in your details, and I'd love to have you on the show. But above all, have a great day.